a little late, so I'm not going to stay up for too long. I was at a bar about hour and a half ago. I didn't drink, so I'm not tipsy or anything like that. Actually, the only thing I had at the bar was a chicken salad sandwich and some fries. You know I'm a teetotaler. I don't drink, don't smoke, don't get high. My only vice is coffee. Uh, my boss thinks that's bad too, but I told him coffee isn't really that bad. Um, Even if you are a heavy coffee user, the withdrawal is like within a day or two. So that's only for heavy coffee drinkers, which a lot of us are. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Oh, well, he doesn't approve of the food I eat. He thinks rice is somehow bad for you because it's a starch. He doesn't seem to understand that the body actually needs sugars. What's up, J.A.C? But yeah, he understands that rice is broken down into as a starch, which is a complex sugar, into simple sugars. What he doesn't realize is that the body actually needs those simple sugars to live. Perhaps, I mean, he's a very successful man, but he dropped out of college. That's how we knew each other, from college. Perhaps if he stayed, he may have taken a few courses on maybe nutrition or health or something. I don't know what his major was, but he dropped out do to go into the finance service sector, which he has done very, very well, which is why now I'm working for him. So yes, you can ha and cute the irony of me working for him, even though I finished multiple degrees and started grad school. But eh, I don't care. At GJC, I used to argue with my old boss that potatoes have health benefits. She said it has zero benefits. Starches have benefits. I don't know why people don't understand that, GJC. Like, if starches were so bad for us, then they wouldn't make up a huge staple of our diet. Um, GJC says, as an Irishman, I had an obligation to stand up for the potato. The irony is, the potato is originally from America. It was a Native American crop brought to Europe. Um, so, but it actually, but because of that, it staved off famine in Ireland, from what I remember of history, right? So, but yeah, a lot of things um, in the European food palette were stuff that was brought over by the conquistadors and stuff during the modern era. Um, After they traveled to the New World. Um, or for instance, like a lot of people, had the image of Native Americans on horseback. Horses weren't native to America. Like, their pack animals would be like things like dogs, or um, I don't know, like dogs and llamas and stuff like that. But yeah, they didn't have horses. Like, horses were brought over by the Europeans. So there was you know, a cross contamination of different species, both flora and fauna. Buffalo, no, buffalo, yeah. I don't think as far as I know, they didn't tame buffalo as herd animals. I mean, as pack animals. They definitely used them for food and shelter. I mean, the buffalo hide as for clothing and for shelter, but and they used the meat for food. They used the fat for like storing and other sorts of things you can do with fat. But I don't think they ever domesticated any buffalo as pack animals, from what I can remember. Melon Bullet says hello, greetings, what's up? JoJo says hello. Rich Max says Bigfoot. So guys, this is gonna be a Ask Me Anything Friday, so you can ask me anything appropriately, of course. I'm waiting for Mrs. Contrarian to moderate today, I hope. Mrs. Contrarian, if you're here, can you let me know? Give me a second, guys. Sorry. Um, What about Bigfoot? Are you well? For one, there was no there was no domestication of big feet, and two, they don't exist. All the circumstantial evidence we have for Bigfoot show that most people are just confusing it with a typical American brown bear. And obviously the original stock footage. I mean, well, not stock. The original gotcha footage of the Bigfoot was a literally a man wearing a ape outfit. So, and we can go down that rabbit hole, but being that I am a associate member of Psi Committee for Skeptical Inquiry, which used to be called Psi Cop for good obvious reasons, Psi Cop, which was the Committee for Scientific Investigation and something of the paranormal, whatever. But yeah, so they just shortened it to CSI or Psi, Committee for Skeptical Inquiry. Devin is giving some religious inspiration. I'm not gonna, guys, I don't have a problem with that. I know people might think I do because I'm atheist or whatever. I don't. As long as people don't flood the chat, I don't care if they want to give like some religious inspiration or if they want to rah rah their favorite political leader, whatever. That I don't. I actually don't mind that as long as it doesn't flood the chat room. I'm good with it. J.A.C says was Bigfoot an original American folklore? Yes, from what I believe, they were originally tales that came from many Native American tribes, particularly in the Pacific Northwest. But it then became universalized to all of North America, well, not all of North America. I mean, particularly Canada and the United States, not so much Mexico. Mexico has its own folklore of what we call cryptozoology. Cryptozoology means like literally means like the study of hidden animals, but it means like to talk about supposed monsters. So in parts of the southern United States and Mexico, they believe in like things like the chupacabra. Don't get people in New Jersey started about the New Jersey Devil. But particularly like I think in the Pacific Northwest and parts of the far west, generally they talk about Bigfoot. Sometimes they refer to it as a Yeti. Um, and there is like some sort of Asian equivalent to the Bigfoot, um, supposedly in the Nepalese Himalayan regions. But as far as what we're talking about, the North American beast, uh, you know, eh, for the most part, all the evidence seems to suggest that what people are seeing, like when they are seeing footprints or paw prints rather, and other sorts of or like food remains or scat remains and stuff like that. Most of this seems to be like evidence of a brown bear or a black bear. Um, DJC says, has anyone ever converted as a result of comment section preaching? Seems like a waste of effort, not against it, but seems like a waste of time. Well, part of the Christian tradition, at least for evangelists, has been proselytizing. So I think the bigger question in general, GJC, is does proselytizing help actually win converts? The answer to that is yes. Yes, some people are won over through proselytizing, but it's a numbers game. It's sort of like the religious equivalent of sales. Like you are going to get people just by sheer numbers, just by a consistent effort to given a large enough population of people, you're going to get some people to convert. So it's the religious equivalent of sales, basically. You get a large enough pool sample size, and you're bound to get people that will convert. So, Skillet Word says Devin has been scrolling out, posting the same verse each time. LMAO. Maybe that's the only one he knows. I don't know. uh, Wait a second, guys. Before I get to all the questions, let me just check with the Mrs. See if she can join us. All right, and I am back. Sorry about that, guys. So let me get back to some of these questions. Well, the appropriate questions. People asking some dumb stuff will just go be timed out for the nuts. And Anthony, is that how you pronounce it? Anthony. He says, "Are you voting for Trump?" Yes. A lot of black men are this time around, and a lot of us aren't even Republican, but we're going to vote. I'm an independent, so BC even says I've seen the Bigfoot with my own eyes. So the common thing I'm going to say to anyone who says they've seen Bigfoot, aliens, Loch Ness monster, ghosts, demons, yada yada yada. Were you high or drunk at the time? Do you have a history of mental illness in your family? Um, were you under any undue stress at the time? Even the Ghostbusters ask these questions, and they actually believe in all this stuff. um, uh, do you have a habit of seeing things that other people can't, that usually don't see? Which, and for us, for you statistical nerds, that's what we call a type 2 error. Skeleworth has ever heard of the chicken foot monster? No, I haven't. Troll Troll Jones says, "What is the most accurate Jersey Devil folklore?" That I don't know. You're gonna. Uh, I have family in Jerseys, but I don't. I haven't lived in New Jersey. I lived in Philly and in Delaware, which are both, adjacent to New Jersey, but I haven't lived in New Jersey. A lot of my family live in the Princeton area, and so some of them believe in the New Jersey Devil. And to be very frank, if you talk to someone from New Jersey and tell them that the New Jersey Devil isn't real, but you yourself aren't from New Jersey, they're gonna chew you out seriously. Like they take that seriously. Um, they somehow think that is only relevant if you are from that state to question um, their cryptozoology, their local cryptozoology. But yeah, there's no evidence that there's any New Jersey Devil other than the mob. No, I'm joking. Don't come after me, don't come after me, any of you mafioso. It's all love over here. J.A.C says New Jersey people are wild. They have the Pine Barrens legend. I haven't heard of that one, but we can get into all sorts of cryptozoology, guys. Like, good thing about reading Skeptical Inquirer for so long, I have many different. Uh, I know about many of those different sorts of alleged phenomena. Actually, I do need to renew my. It reminds me, I actually need to renew my Skeptical Inquirer magazine subscription. I haven't renewed it in 2 years, so I need to do that. And just to let you know, like, there's really like intellectual giants that make up the board members of Skeptical Committee for Skeptical Inquiry. People like Steven Pinker, Stephen Novella, uh, Neil deGrasse Tyson, um, uh, what's his guy? What's the guy? Such and such, the science guy. Nit. What's his guy? What's that? What's the guy name, guys? Um, something's you know what I'm talking about. But yeah, there was Daniel Dennett before he unfortunately passed away 2 months ago. Very important philosopher. Um, Richard Dawkins joined him. He actually brought in his own organization and folded it into the Committee for Skeptical Inquiry. So Richard Dawkins is a heavy hitter there. Um, a bunch of people, I can't even remember all their names right now. TRW says, "My boy, what's up? I haven't seen you." Zed says, "What's up, man? What's up?" Troll Jones says, "Prison is the biggest salesman of religion." Yeah, I get that. Especially for Muslim convert. Well, no, I'm joking. But yeah, a lot of people. What did Lisa Simpson say on The Simpsons? She was like, um, "Religion is the last bastion for a scoundrel," something like that. And that's true. I remember this one cop was saying, "Man, he said if you're religious, that's cool." He said if you're religious and you end up in trouble, you get locked up or whatever. I understand. He said that's cool. He said, but don't. He said, but don't he said, but he said, y'all, but he was talking about to some religious people, right? He said, but some of y'all bullshit, and he said, y'all not about that Christian life, and as soon as you get locked up, the next day you up in your cell saying when what day is service. He's like, man, I ain't trying to hear that shit. Since I have a question about the military, I've been thinking about going to the Air Force. My grandfather was a mechanic, and that is what motivates my older brother. Oh, what's up, baby? What's up, Mahal? Just making sure you were here. Thanks. Sorry about that, Zed. He says, my grandfather was a mechanic, and that is what motivates my older brother and I. Should I finish school first? When you say school, what do you mean by school? Are you currently in a 4-year college, a 2-year college, a trade school, something like that? If you're referring to any of the three, I would say yes, finish that first because one, you'll come in as a higher. If you decide to enlist, you'll come in as a higher with a higher enlistment rank. I'm not sure about Air Force, but with Army or Marines, I think you would come in with a 4-year degree as a E4, right? But you could also apply for commission. So you could come in as an E4 in boot camp, and then you would uh, tell the recruiter that you plan on becoming a commissioned officer, so they will send you through officer candidate school. In the Air Force, I think they call it OTC, OTS, officer training school, instead of officer candidate school like an army, but basically the same thing. It's like after your 7 weeks of Air Force training, I think it's 7 weeks. Um, then you do about 5 weeks or so in officer training school. So that's an option. You'll have more options if you finish school before you enlist. Or you can do, I don't know if the Air Force does this, but the Army does it. And I think the Marines does it. There's split op training. Split op training is so, say you're still in school, you can go to basic during the summer, complete that, you come back home so that you can go back to school, and then that following summer, then you go to your advanced training, whatever that is. If say maybe you want to be a auto mechanic or flight mechanic, because I think it would be more like a flight mechanic in the Air Force. Um, do that, then you come back again, uh, and then after that, when you go out, you then go directly to your permanent duty station. So I would say either finish school first, which will give you more options once you enlist or decide to apply for commission. Or if you are gonna go in, don't you can still do school if the Air Force offers split op training. Talk to a recruiter, see if they offer split op training in the Air Force as they do in the Army. I'm pretty sure they probably do. I'm pretty sure all the branches offer that sort of split op training to people who are young and in school. All right, that's my recommendation. Uh, says I'm overweight right now and currently working on losing the extra pounds. I'm ashamed to say I weigh 280. Any tips? Yes. Run every day and hit the weights. Uh, if there's a Planet Fitness near you, sign up. I think it's like $10 a month for beginners. Um, if there's no gym near you, just do calisthenics. Every day you need. Every day you should be running. Um, I wouldn't say change your. I don't know what your current diet is, but in your diet you should be emphasizing protein over carbs. Definitely, definitely. If you're eating a lot of snacks or junk food, definitely need to bring that down. Okay, concentrate on protein. All right, and when I'm saying protein, I mean specifically meats, but legumes as well. Like legumes are good, but protein, meat, meat protein is your best source of protein because it's a full. It gives you all the amino acids, whereas beans typically are an incomplete protein source. That's why they have to be supplemented with rice, which is something my boss doesn't understand when he says he eats enough. He prefers to eat just beans all day so he can have protein, but he doesn't want rice because it's going to lead to inflammation and dumb shit like that. I'm not listening to him. I always tell him if I'm eating beans, they got to go with rice because that's the only way it's going to taste good to me. Plus, beans and rice make up a complete protein source of all the 22 amino acids. Uh, Legumes by themselves don't give you a complete protein source. But even still, the quality of meat protein is still better than rice and beans. So that should be a staple. Put more meat in your diet, less carbs, less fats. Run every day. And when I say run, you don't have to run like me, like 10 plus kilometers every day. Just you need to just put on some sneakers and do like 20 minutes of jogging and walking, whatever your body can take. If you can't jog the full amount, walk it. But just make sure you're doing at least 20 or so minutes of constant aerobic activity. Okay, and then like I said, you need to either add to that a bit of calisthenics or strength training. Like I said, a Planet Fitness membership should for a first timer, I think it's about $10 a month. So can't go wrong with that. Haya says you want to be Charleston White so bad. I'm nothing like Charleston White. I don't want to be like Charleston White. Not at all. How am I even remotely relevant to that? I don't even get the comparison to Charleston White. He has a whole completely different sort of platform. Charles Jones says pine barrens are creepy woods, pine trees growing out of the sand. That sounds cool, actually. That doesn't sound creepy. That actually sounds cool. Bill Nye, the Science Guy. Thank you, Troll. Bill Nye. Thanks, guys. Yawning Yak says, "Are you Muslim?" No, I'm not. I'm atheist. I, as a young child, was Muslim. That's how my real name is Aman. But when my mom married my stepfather, she converted, and we were Christian since. But once I became an adult, around the time I was 18 or 19, I just became just uh, a disbelieving person, atheist. However, I still, see religious inspiration in a lot of different aspects of religious practice. So, yeah, that's cool. Like, for instance, my dog tags, I have the Saint Michael pendant because he is the patron saint of the U.S. Armed Forces. So, Sergeant says, good to see you on. Thanks, Sarge. GJC says, favorite Lisa Simpson quote, I learned that beneath my goody two shoes lies some very dark sides. She always has like very pithy things to say sometimes, right? She's not, I don't like how she is now. They've made her character more annoying now. Like before she was just like this, you know, this young prodigy who lived amongst a bunch of average family members. Now she's become more of a uh, I don't know what to call her. She's not a Mary Sue because she definitely has her flaws and stuff like that. But she's just I don't like. She's more of a parody of what the character used to be like. But she was one of my favorite characters back then. Sergeant says, yeah, commission with any 4 year. Yeah, like I said, Sarge, I was telling him he has better options finishing school and then enlisting than just going in now. Assuming he's in a 4 year school, he didn't say what sort of school he was in, but I was assuming he meant like either a 4 year school, maybe a 2 year school, but 4 year school, yeah, he can he can apply for officer training school in the Air Force. And I was saying that if the Air Force has the same split op uh, training that the Army does, he could do that while he's still in school. He could enlist and go to boot during summer. He comes back and finishes his school year, and then he goes back the following summer and does his his advanced training for whatever MOS he selected. Because I think he said he wanted to do something in mechanics. Then he would come out again and presumably finish his last school year, because I'm guessing he's at least a sophomore by now, maybe a freshman, but maybe a sophomore. And assuming he doesn't have to do a fifth year of school like a lot of people do, especially if they do engineering or computer science, he should be good. Or, here's a third option for him, Sarge. I forgot. I hope he's still watching. So a third option is he could enlist, but and do the split op training that I was already suggesting, but then do reserves. So if it's going to take him more than 3 years right now to complete school, because he didn't say what year of school he's in, first year, second year, whatever. But say he's like just a first year like freshman, or maybe second year sophomore or whatever. But maybe he has to do like 5 years altogether, because like if you're doing a STEM degree, a lot of these STEM degrees take 5 years to complete nowadays, unless you're uh, smarter than the average bear. But even for the really smart people, sometimes it's just the curriculum doesn't allow them to load so many courses per semester for their major, so they might end up taking 5 years for engineering or computer science major, which is typical. So another thing he could do is he could do the split op training and then join reserves, so that he's just drilling once a month and 2 weeks a year during the summer while he's still in school. And then once he completes school, then he can actually switch from the reserve component to the active duty component. So that's a third option for him. So plenty of options for him. Good either way, he should be good to go. Troll Jones says, "You're smart man. Cheers. God bless you." Quoted Lisa Simpson. Thank you. Well, thank you, Troll, and also um, thank you, GJC. Mr. W. Wide is in the building. Sergeant says Army is OTC. I say no. So Army is O- Army. We call it OCS, Officer Candidate School. Air Force is OTC, Officer Training. I think something like that. Officer Training Cadet, or I don't know, whatever. They call it OTC or OTS in the Air Force, but Army calls it OCS, unless they've changed it, which I don't think they did. Uh, Sarge says the same thing with a degree. Enlisted folks have to call you sir regardless of their time in service. Yep. And there's some people who are salty, like get a 40-year-old active duty member who has to say sir to the little fresh 22-year-old fresh out of college or fresh out of the academy. I don't have a problem with it. I don't have a problem with it. Shoot, even a command sergeant major still has to say sir to a second lieutenant. But I bet you know what though, that second lieutenant is definitely not going to disrespect that command sergeant major, because as soon as he do, he's going to get a call. He's going to get a call from either a freaking general or a colonel or a full bird colonel or something like that, chewing him out, and probably if he's not lucky, stripping him of his rank or commission. So even at the so even if even if the highest enlisted, you go, like a command sergeant major or sergeant major of the army, like sergeant major of the army even has to salute and say sir to like a lowly second lieutenant. But again, there's no second lieutenant who values his career that would disrespect a sergeant major, a command sergeant major, or much less the sergeant major of the army. That I can imagine what they would go through after doing something that dumb. GJC says, at Zed, stay at it, get walking and jogging and enjoy. Yep. Saying what I'm saying, hit the cardio every day. Like I have a friend, the guy who's sometimes in my old videos with me. He's gotten into a lot of shape, but he still has, a paunch, the belly. And I told him, I said, man, you're doing well with strength training, but I said you would have lost that punch a long time ago if you did what I told you to do and just do the cardio every day. He was like, I know. But yeah, just running is called the king of exercises for a reason. It's not just because it's difficult. And if anything, it's not that difficult. I'll, I can't emphasize this enough that humans have actually evolved to be long distance runners for the fact that that's how we chase down big game. We literally ran these animals to exhaustion. We've evolved to be runners. We can stay fully cognitive while running upright over long distances. We our our vision doesn't phase out or blur like other animals. Uh, as we continually do it, our stamina builds up. It doesn't get worse. Our stamina actually get improves through prolonged running. Um, we maintain our balance, and it comes from our vestibular sense, as well as we maintain our ability to navigate and be cognizant of our external stimuli while we run. And like I said, we would chase big game to exhaustion, like things like mastodons and stuff like that. You will see like maybe a pack of uh, pre-modern men chasing down these big game till they just died of exhaustion or just gave up, and then the men would come in and stab them. Because obviously that was our only thing. We weren't stronger than most of these animals. We weren't faster than a lot of these animals. So the only thing we had over them is that we could we had the ability to run long distances. For sports physiology, technically anything over 3 kilometers is long distance. But for actual endurance athletes, of course, 3 kilometers to us isn't isn't a long distance run. But for sports physiology purposes, three 3 kilometers is considered a long distance run. Um, but yeah, we evolved to run long distances. So tap into that inner caveman and go for a run every day. That's for Zed. Amani says, "Sup? I've been here. Just started talking. What's up, Amani? How was the Don Trip song? I'm confused. I you gotta if that's geared towards me, you gotta remind me. Sorry. Give me 1 second, guys. Just checking something, and I'll be right back to the regularly scheduled program. Okay, here I'm back. Says I've really let myself go. I have to lose 72 pounds to meet the 73-inch requirement. I'll talk furthermore to a recruiter. I read there is a scholarship program, ROTC, primarily for tech. Um, ROTC is for everyone. So at my alma mater, they have an Air Force ROTC program, and I actually spoke to a very to a well, at the time I spoke to an elderly um, alum alumnus. He told me back when he first went to the University of Maryland, the Air Force ROTC was actually required of all the male students. So I didn't know that. So they have an Air Force ROTC, which kind of sucked because I wanted when I had switched to reserves while I was in college, I wanted to combine it with the Army ROTC program because there is a combined program with reserves that you can combine it with ROTC. But for me to do that, I would actually have to go to another school's campus that had Army ROTC available to do it. So I wasn't able to take advantage of that combined program. Uh, However, for you, first of all, stop beating yourself up. Don't do that. Things happen. You gain weight. It happens. The, the issue now is losing it, not worrying about that you got to that point in the first place. Forget about it. Tomorrow, go for a run. However much you can handle in 20 minutes. Like I said, if you can't run the whole 20 minutes, walk it. Just keep moving for 20 minutes. Eventually, as you do it every day, you'll build your stamina up so that you can run the full time instead of just walking. So you'll end up being able to run the whole thing within like probably several weeks at a slow pace. But then as you get better, then you can increase your running pace. And then after you increase your running pace, then you can increase the distance. Incremental steps. Incremental steps. All you have to do though is just make the effort to put on some sneakers and go out there in the morning and run and do a combination of running and walking for 20 plus minutes, at least 20 minutes. Um, Once you do it for at least 20 minutes, you get like a full aerobic activity to build your VO2 max, your stamina or your lung capacity. Do that every day and don't skip on the calisthenics or strength training, whichever you prefer to do. The strength training you don't have to do every day. I would say do the cardio every day, do the run every day, but the strength training you could do that like 3 times a week. Maybe to be safe, four if you can put that in your schedule. At least but at least 3 times a day do some strength training or calisthenics, and every day you should do some running, a little cardio. And if you can't run that day, then you can substitute jumping rope. All right. Or you can even go rucking as a substitute for running. If you have a heavy enough backpack that's at least over 25 pounds, put that sucker on and go to a trail and do that. That's good endurance work too, and it's combat related fitness. Says I'm going to my sophomore year for computer science. Okay. He said, thanks to J.A.C. I'll keep up the consistency. Yep, don't worry about it, brother. Just, man, go out there, run every day, do your thing. You'll be all right. And like I said, as far as your options, like I said, you can either, if I would say, of finish school of all things. Finish school. That computer science degree is going to carry you far. Finish the degree, so you can either wait until you finish school and then go into the Air Force, or like I said, you can talk to a recruiter and see if they have split op training that you can do while you're still in school. And the third option is you can do split op training and go into Air Force reserves, because all the jobs for Air Force active duty should be also available on the reserve component. Do the reserves till you finish school, and then once you graduate, then you can switch to the active duty component of the Air Force. Angeli Serial says, "Hi, sir. What's up, Angeli?" Burton Powell says, "What's up, man? What's up, Burton?" Custodius back. He says, "I hate running, but I do it still." Also, hi, all. Honestly, I love running. I know a lot of people hate it, especially in Muay Thai. Like, we have a saying in Muay Thai, no run, no Muay Thai. But a lot of people hate the run. I think one of the reasons people hate the run is because if you're training in Thailand, it's hot as shit. But usually, most of them go for a run around, I would say, 6 a.m. But honestly, 6 a.m. is still, it's already hot by 6 a.m. I personally would get up early and do it like around 4:30, maybe even 3:30, because um, when I was in Georgia in Fort Gordon, we used to get up for 3:30 for PT because we already knew by like 8 a.m. it would be scorching hot. So it's definitely the case for that in Thailand. By 8 a.m., it's going to be scorching hot. So if I were training there, I would get up like at least around 4 a.m. to do my run. And if you have to do another run for for your training, then you can do a second run for your training. But at least get your own personal run in before it gets hot. That way, if they cancel the run, or if they shorten the run, at least you got your full cardio in, unlike everyone else, which gives you an edge on your competition. But anyway, this is not about Muay Thai. The point is, I was just saying that a lot of people who are runners or endurance athletes do hate running, but they do it anyway. Whereas I do it, but I love doing it though. So that's the difference. Layla says hi. Layla was here earlier in my previous stream, guys. I did a. If you guys didn't catch it, I did an earlier stream today, which was about something I saw in one of my old philosophy professors writing an article about in our philosophy newsletter that goes out to students and alumni on ChatGPT, and he described that there was a professor. Well, there's a current professor who was a student who received his PhD at University of Maryland, who found that one of his students had turned in a paper that looked like it was churned out by a ChatGPT, because half of it he saw was seemed like it was written verbatim. I mean, it was copying verbatim a Scottish philosopher named David Hume on his talk about things relating to the paradox of horror. The paradox of horror is that something that stokes fear in us is also very tantalizing and entertaining. That's the paradox of horror. And so that's what the student wrote about and connected it to an earlier argument by David Hume. And so half of the paper was just like pure Humean writing, and then the rest of it was just BS. And so, um, because of that, he realized it was written by ChatGPT, and then he actually downloaded a ChatGPT detector and found that it was, and had a stern talk with that student, and they admitted that they used ChatGPT. And so I gave a whole argument earlier in that previous chat, which no one was able to really attend. Well, there were people in the comment section, but they were mostly trolls and people who were too stupid to understand what I was saying. Um, but because, well, most of them were overseas, so I shouldn't say they're stupid. But in any case, they didn't get what I was saying. So I was saying, according to what the professor was saying, and the professor who was writing about that that philosophy professor, that I would argue that using your mind to write a paper is still better than ChatGPT. Yes, ChatGPT can can fetch from a wider array of sources, and yes, it has fast processing speed that can churn out a paper pretty easily for you. However, one, that is plagiarism because ChatGPT just gathers information written by others and churns it out to you, which would then just be plagiarization if you didn't cite those sources but made it like that was your own paper. And the other thing is a lot of those chat GPT papers, especially when it comes to things like philosophy, aren't going to be easy to detect because a philosophy paper has a voice to it. When you write a philosophy paper, it is your, excuse me, it is your voice that you're giving to that paper. That argument is yours that you're making or trying to make, or the evaluation of someone else's argument is also your voice. So it'll be pretty obvious that you're using ChatGPT in a subject matter such as philosophy. Also, I was saying that ChatGPT, being a form of machine learning, is still very limited because machine learning uh, is based on like algorithms and formal programs, and none of these things are geared towards actually truth evaluation. Whereas the human mind has literally evolved to evaluate truth claims. This is how we a- acquire knowledge because we have cognitive processes, which is our processes for problem solving and decision making that actually allow us to, um, like I said, do truth evaluation, which leads us to knowledge acquisition. Chat GPT and machine learning can't do that. They still fail the Turing test devised by Alan Turing to determine whether a machine is artificially intelligent uh, by if it can carry on a conversation with a person and they can't detect that it's speaking to a machine. ChatGPT doesn't do that. If you talk talk to ChatGPT through text typing, whatever, um, it becomes pretty apparent you're talking to something that's just a program. um, Although it does have like statistical methods to learn through more and more interaction with other people on all sorts of questions. It learns and is able to churn out better responses. But that's what ChatGPT is doing, is was made to do. It is made to learn from its communication with people to churn out better responses. That does not necessarily lead to more accurate information that it's giving you. It just makes it more human like the information that's given you. Not exactly a good source for realism. Uh, Plus, there's another more fundamental problem for all machine learning that some people don't realize, which is the human AI problem, which is well known in cognitive science and AI research and in the philosophy of mind, which is that AI can't reach won't reach the level of strong AI until it can do one of the most fundamental things that all humans can do, which is abductive reasoning, which is also called the inference to the best explanation, which is basically that is a logical jump from the premises to the conclusion, unlike in deductive reasoning, which computers do abnormally well, which is the in that deductive reasoning, the premises necessitates the conclusion to an argument or inference in deduction. And inductive reasoning, which is also called informal reasoning or informal logic, um, the premises lead to a conclusion, but on a probabilistic scale. So it'll be different strengths of probability of how the premises lead to the conclusion in an inductive argument or inference. However, again, in abductive inference, abductive, there's no there's no direct connection between the premises and the conclusion. There's a logical gap there that you must jump, and that is filled in through intuition and creativity. There's no way yet that we can formally model intuition and creativity in machine learning, which would allow machines to then be able to do human abductive reasoning. Until we get to that point, we'll never have the strong AI that everyone fears we'll have with Skynet coming down on us. We're still very far from that, and I don't believe that we'll ever reach the singularity point that futurists believe in, where strong AI will surpass humans and then not only surpass us but replace us and will become no longer necessary to their continuation, other than maybe to keep their their hardware going, like in a Matrix type scenario. But I think that's all pish posh. So anyway, let me get back to the comments. But that was what my earlier live stream was about. If you guys want to check that out, all of that was to say check out my earlier live stream. Sergeant says, I love to run, but I always pull something like my Achilles tendon, um, or my hip flexor that stalls me for weeks to months. I need to try again. I've given a variety of shoe types a try. It may not be the shoe, Sarge. You should get that checked out. It might be something else. And I don't want to like speculate on what it could be because I don't want to spook you out. But yeah, if you haven't already, get that checked out. Sarge says, and you're only 30. I'm thinking you're like in your 40s. Oh yeah, get that checked out, dude. That's not for 30. That's not normal. You need to get that checked out because that's I don't think that has anything to do with your feet. Ray Robler is back. He says U.S. Marine Corps here. Our physical fitness test is a 3 mile, 18 minutes. After that, the 20 pull-ups and 100 crunches in 2 minutes. Yep, that sounds about right. That sounds about right. But he's opting for Air Force Race, so he's gonna be living pretty swell over there in the Air Force, eating better than us Marines and Army. Ray Roberts says, "God bless DJT." Yes, sir. Well, he came through. Um, the only thing I do agree with liberals is that people need to stop saying that it was a miracle that he turned his head at the right point of time, because here's why it's not a miracle. And of course I'm happy that that Trump survived. The reason I'm saying it's not a miracle is because it still killed the innocent bystander. That's why it's not a miracle. A miracle would have been that the sniper never got off the shot, or the shot would have went completely askew of its intended uh, victim, so that it wouldn't have made anyone a a victim, whether intentional or accidental. That would have been a miracle. But simply saying that he was spared is not the miracle, because still an innocent man who was a first responder died because of that, because of this mentally ill kid. And now I hear Biden says he's going to ban AR-15s, which is stupid. Um, and another dumb thing is he was trying to promote it as something that was gonna as something to as something helpful to the black community. Banning AR-15s isn't helping the black community. First of all, most of the incidents. First of all, a lot of black people buy weapons, firearms. That's number one. Um, Number two, most of the incidents in inner city violence does is with handguns, not with AR style weapons. And then they need to stop calling everything AR-15s. By the way, that's what they call every. That's what they call every semi-automatic rifle an AR-15. But whatever. We don't need to go there. We don't need to go that deeply into their misunderstanding of the different types of firearms and rifles and all that sort of stuff. The point being is that banning AR-15s isn't making anyone safer. Banning nuts from having access to guns is what solves everything. Like I said, in the Philippines and other places, like you have to go through both the universal background check and a psychological evaluation. That would be more helpful. And uh, I'm not sure if in the Philippines, but in other places, you also have to undergo firearm training. You put those three things together, a lot less of a lot less gun violence. You put those three things together, but banning weapons as if people won't just grab another weapon to do the same job is stupid. Like that doesn't make sense. Even in the places where they've banned guns, then you have you have incidents of mass stabbings. Ask anyone in the UK right now who's in the audience, they'll tell you that like they have mass stabbings in some of these places. In places in Asia too, where it's hard to have access to guns, they end up having mass stabbings. If a person is if a person has a criminal mens rea, uh, they'll find a way to do what they want to do. You can hardly find guns in Japan, and someone did a DIY gun and killed the former Prime Minister Shinzo Abe. So banning AR-15s is not going to make the president safer. It's not going to make American people safer. It's ensuring that not everyone can exercise their Two Amendment rights if they're mentally ill or other issues. Like it's not. I don't think that's an infringement on 2A rights because obviously for there's going to be reasons to restrict 2A to certain people. Like I said, mentally ill or too young to have one or other sorts of things, right? People would be surprised just how strict good old George Washington was on people for them exercising their 2A rights. They can look that up if they want. It garnered him a lot of anger in his first term, I believe. I think it was his first term. So anyway, Imani says the last live you said you would listen to him if I watched your other lives and I just didn't chat. And I did, I just didn't chat. You said that I will listen to him. Who are you referring to as him? Oh, also by the way, guys, I did have a surprise for tonight, but I have to put it off till tomorrow. Hopefully it'll be tomorrow. Hint, hint. That's to a certain person. Um, so there should be a surprise. I'll give you this clue. I have applied for monetization as of yesterday. So because of that, I told you guys I would have something coming, didn't I? No diddy, but um, so I have that in the works. I was gonna do it today, but I have to push it off till tomorrow. I'm sorry. Burton Powell says I got my master's in history for no reason. Haha, not that I use it anyway. Man, I'm if you got a master's, dude, that's still what's up. I'm still working on my master's, so you're ahead of me. Um, Plus, a history and masters is good. We need more people who are history literate, Burton, because the reason a lot of people are tripping on current events is they don't realize how circular some of these things are. Like people are acting like the country is going to hell in a handbasket for all the political feuding, and I'm like, dude, if they saw all the shenanigans that went on in 19th century presidential elections, they would calm the hell down. So we need more history illiterate people. I don't think it was a waste of all. If your master in histories was something that you wanted to do, then go for it. I'd rather people because once you go from once you go beyond undergrad, like anything you doing on a graduate level should either lead to something very high paying or it should be something that you're passionate about. I don't think a person should just do a master's just because they think it's going to buttress their career. because you know that's how a lot of these mediocre schools try to advertise themselves to working adults is that, hey, come get your master's so that you can get, miraculously be promoted and get higher pay at your job. No, that's probably not going to happen. So I say, unless it's leading to a direct career, then take whatever you want that is passionate to you. Like sometimes as an undergrad, we can't take what's passionate to us. We got to take what's going to get our bills paid. But on the master's level, you should take whatever you want that will you feel passionate about because you're spending a lot of money for it. So you might as well get out of it what you actually want. Don't just take a bland MBA just for the sake of saying I have an MBA. Like that's gonna, that was the thing they used to churn. They used to say out in the '90s. They used to like push the whole MBA idea. I think MBAs are such a waste of time. Like unless you get an MBA from an elite school, I think most MBAs are worthless. And I'm not knocking anyone who has an MBA, by the way. If you already have an MBA, then kudos to you. But for people who haven't gotten a master's or considering graduate school, I say most MBAs are worthless unless it's from one of the most elite schools in the country. So unless you're talking about one of the top 12 countries, I mean, excuse me, the top 12 colleges in the country, getting it, going to one of their MBA programs, MBAs is so useless. I'm so glad they stopped pushing that idea back in from like they used to push in the '90s and early 2000s. Monty says, but it's okay. No, I was saying to Monty, can you remind me? If I promise to do something and I haven't done it, let me know because I may forget. And guys, the whole to Ali Bakir says, can I ask you a question? Literally, the topic of this chat is ask me a question. So you don't have to ask me, can you ask me a question? You literally just ask me a question by saying, can I ask you a question? So King Trez is what's good at Andrew Garfield. I don't remotely get that. Uh, its ally says Donald Trump stock. Oh, the GJT stock and BlackRock's. Someone was shorting DJT stock. I'm not aware of it. What I would say, I mean, if you want to buy DJT stock, what I will say about that though is, if you want to buy DJT stock to show your support for the president, that's all well and good, but you should not invest for political reasons. You should invest for financial reasons. If you're going to invest in stocks, I personally, this is my preference. I will only invest in blue chip companies for when it comes to stocks. And you can readily do that through like an index fund. Makes it much easier. But if you just want to play the day trade game, go right on ahead. If you know what you're doing, maybe you can invest more aggressively than some of us. Uh, but for most people, I would say get an index fund. And if you want to add some DJT stock to that index fund, go right on ahead. But I wouldn't buy stock because I'm passionate about a certain political leader that owns it, um, unless I knew it was going to increase the net income of my portfolio. So that's just me. But do what you like. Says I read somewhere that the guy was actually a Republican. Why would he try to assassinate someone who has similar views to himself? What is the country turning out to be? So yes, so the young guy turned out to be a registered Republican. However, he also donated money to a politically democratic cause, we shouldn't glean too much out of it other than the kid was obviously mentally ill, regardless of what his political persuasion is. There's no, despite what political pundits will have you believe, neither party has a lease on having the most mentally ill people. Since we have a two-party system, you're going to find pretty much people suffering from severe mental illness on both sides of the political spectrum. It says don't believe it. Its ally says that don't believe everything you read. Um, Top Eyes TV says the whole thing with Trump was a WWE skit. So I might do this in a separate video, guys. But here's the thing: people who think that this whole thing was made up need to touch grass. An innocent man actually died. So I don't care what you think about Trump or what you or if you think that he's taking advantage of the situation, which all politicians would do. He's no unique in that sense. If you don't think if Biden was faced an assassination attempt that he and the DNC would have milked us for everything that it's worth, of course they would. And the RNC is no different. Of course, a political leader is going to take advantage of a near tragedy to market themselves to the electorate. Both sides would do it. I don't get why people don't understand that. This is why people who are more politically informed, like myself, tend to be apathetic about politics because partisan people can't have these huge blinders on. And like I said, if you guys are thinking this whole thing was made up, you need to touch grass. An innocent man actually died because of this sniper attempting to kill Trump. An innocent man died, a family man, a man who was a first responder. So if you think that's made up, you need to touch grass. GJC's his thoughts on Hulk Hogan's RNC opening. So I obviously, so honestly, I didn't see much of the Republic National Convention. I was not watching 4 days of the convention, which lasted all evening. I'm sorry, I have better things to do than to watch TV for 4 hours straight watching political stuff. I don't care who it is. I don't care if it's Bernie Sanders. I don't care if it's Jesus Christ. I'm not watching 4 days of political theater. I couldn't imagine anything more boring than like other than maybe like watching golf or fly fishing or something. Like no. I saw little highlights I saw when the Hulk came out there. I don't have anything. I mean, the Hulk is the Hulk. Hulk was one of my heroes as a kid. He, as an adult, I still look up to a lot of these people I saw as childhood heroes. I still look up to Hulk Hogan. I still look up to Jean Claude Van Damme, and I know how problematic these people are. I still look up to Bruce Lee, who, I mean, he was dead before I came into being, but I still admired him from his movies, his books that were written posthumously after his death, and the old articles that he used to write in Black Belt magazine, and other heroes. I look up to Tyson. He scared the shit out of me, but also he was inspiring as a fighter to me. Looked up to Michael Jackson. Again, I don't care about their backgrounds. Same thing with Hulk. Like, Hulk has been accused of being a bigot and all this other stuff. I don't care about that. More than likely, if he saw me or any other black person come up to him and say, "Hey, man, Hulk, I grew up watching you. I'm one of your biggest fans." He he would acknowledge it. He'd be like, "That's what's up, brother. Thank you." Like, that's Hulk Hogan. I, you know, I dig the guy, man. So I don't care what his political leanings are. Um, I think people are going to be surprised when they find out what the Dwayne's political leanings are. I can't say with a certainty, but I'm pretty sure he's actually Republican. I think he's actually Republican. I think he's a moderate. I don't think he's a conservative Republican. I think he's a moderate Republican. Sort of in the same vein as Arnold Schwarzenegger. Now, Schwarzenegger nowadays would be considered moderate, but back in like the 90s, he would have been considered a conservative. But in any case, I mean, if Hulk wanted to stump out at the Republic National Convention for Trump, kudos to him. Rye Dog says, was Kid Rock lip syncing in RC? Again, I didn't watch the convention, so I don't know. But a lot of artists do. So what a lot of artists will do is they will play the song, but they will also actually sing as well. So it'll be a combination. Like they'll actually be playing the music, but they'll actually be singing along to it as well. They won't just be lip syncing. I don't think like I said, I didn't see his performance. So I don't know if he was lip syncing or not. But it's funny he still calls himself Kid Rock and he's in his 50s. So, Joy Random says the Trump thing was about as real as any Hogan match I've ever seen. Well, two things on that. One, my comment to the earlier person that also applies to you. Like, if you think that thing that happened was fake, you need to touch grass. Actual innocent man got killed, and if you are so far down the conspiratorial rabbit hole that you think that they would have let this man catch an L just to pretend that Trump was endangered, then again, that is an issue within you, not reality. Also, people always like to rag on pro wrestling, but those moves that they do are legit. If you don't believe it, have someone actually do that to you in a fight, and you'll see how painful it is. There's a lot of pain management done in pro wrestling. This is why a lot of them abuse substances because of the pain involved in pro wrestling. The stuff they do to each other genuinely hurts a lot. It's not fake. It's sports entertainment, but the stuff they go through is very painful. And yes, they will already know who's going to win the fight and all this sort of stuff. I mean, do you want to really go there with politics? Because we can talk about how fake politics is in general, like, but that's a whole different discussion. In any case, like I said, the attempted assassination on Trump was legitimate. This is like questioning, was Ronald Reagan actually? There was an assassination attempt on Ronald Reagan. That was real. Are we also going to doubt what happened to Robert F.K. Sr. or JFK Sr.? We're going to doubt those. Or we're going to doubt the other assassinations that happened in the early in the 19th century, like Lincoln. Like sometimes, and I'm going to quote Freud again. Sometimes a cigar is just a cigar. Mr. Warhammer says, "Thank you for supporting Donald Trump." I mean, I appreciate it, but I'm just supporting him because it makes the most sense to me. uh, and people have tried to get on me for saying, "Oh, you're a sellout for wanting to support Trump." And like I was telling my friend, there are people. If people don't believe me, they need to go to the hood. There are so many black men in the hood, and I mean in the hood, that are supporting Trump right now. It is not a game. Literally had a guy. He's obviously from Baltimore City, where I was training at like 3 days ago at Planet Fitness. This dude was all rah rah Trump, and he was definitely a hood booger. He was all about Trump. Like we went from talking about like superheroes to talking about Trump, because it was on the TVs. And I mean, for one, I don't want to talk to random people while I'm trying to get my gains. But yeah, I mean, I agree with him, but I don't come to the gym for political talk. I go to the gym to get away from everything. like that. So, but yeah, there's a lot of black men who support Trump, and then people who say Trump is racist. Okay, and Biden's racist. Almost all the Republicans. I mean, sorry, not almost all the politician presidents have been racist. So what? But here's the thing, like I was telling my friend earlier at the bar, there's a difference between being a bigot and someone who holds the cards for systemic racism. So yeah, Trump, let's say he's a bigot. Okay, so and they always bring up, oh well, he had these cases when he did real estate that he kept black people from getting such and such. Okay, so what? Also, is alleged that a lot of that was because he didn't want people doing Section 8 housing in his properties. That I don't know whether that's true or not, but if that's the case, I kind of understand. Or they'll bring up the Central Park Five. Yes, that was a mistake in judgment on his part, but again, he was doing it as a private citizen. He didn't have the power to hurt black people in mass. Biden did. Biden wasn't just a bigot. He practices systemic racism, which is much worse. Here's why. And I've said this in a million times. I'm gonna keep saying it again for people who think that black people, particularly black men who support Trump, are sellouts. We're not. We are just better at assessing things. Men are better at reasoning out these sorts of things. Here's so Biden started his career in the Senate. One of the things he did was work with a white supremacist to prevent busing black children to integrated schools. He worked with a supremacist on that, Strom Thurmond. Then in 1988, he instituted the crack bill. What is the crack bill? The crack bill was when, of all the drugs, illegal drugs out there, his bill mandated that only crack would receive mandatory federal sentencing for mere possession of all the drugs out there, not powder cocaine, not heroin, not marijuana, not PCP. No, no, just crack because it was predominantly where in the black community. So he instituted the 1988 crack bill. Then he was like, well, let's double down on that and did the 1994 crime bill, which which led to mass incarcerament. Incarcerament. Did I say that right? Incarcerament. You know what I'm trying to say. It led to a lot of black men being locked up in prison to this day, to which he's simply said, "Oh, I made a mistake." That's not good enough. Then he eulogized a KKK leader, calling him his friend, Robert C. Byrd. This guy is a racist, much more so than Trump. And he's led to systemic racism, which is way worse than someone just being a bigot in their personal life. Who cares? We all have internal racism to some degree because we all have, by human nature, tribalistic um, tribalistic persuasions, which is usually called in psychology in-group bias. We all have that, but he's been able to act on it and actually hurt black people for the past 40 or so years. But he's not the racist. Trump is. I'm not trying to hear it. Just my 2 cents, guys. Says you definitely deserve more followers, man. The country would be in a better place if people had a similar thought process. I appreciate it, Zed. Thank you. Um, Wise up 786 says I tuned in late. What's up from Miami, Liberty City? What's up? Wise up. Every time I see that, I told you I always think of Grand Theft Auto. Every time you say from Miami, Liberty City, I think of Grand Theft Auto. That was like I think that was the best of the Grand Theft Auto video games was Liberty City. Guess because they had the whole Scarface thing going on. Joy, if you want to believe it's made up, that's on you. But I deal in something called reality. I don't deal in conspiracy theories, which are patently false. Signal Corps says, "Yeah, please don't play down attempted murder." Right. That's what. Oh, it wasn't a. Right. Like I don't. People. I don't see how people are. Just because you don't like a candidate, or you don't like the fact that they have capitalized off of that thing that happened to them, that it didn't really happen. I don't see how people can't disentangle that, the fact that X happened and then Y is a result of that. I I don't see how why people can't disentangle that. Yes, you don't like the candidate, or yes, you think he's taking advantage of the situation. Welcome to politics. um, that's all I have to say about that. And Wise Up 786 says 4 days of confusion. It wasn't, well, I don't know if it was confusion. It's just, it was, I'm not going to watch a convention. I'm not going to watch the Democratic convention either. Like, those things are just boring. So, Zed says, I'm starting to understand why other countries see the U.S. as a reality TV show. Yeah. I mean, look at how many, look at it this way. Look how many aspects of U.S. of just ordinary American life has become fodder for reality TV. Like, we literally had a reality TV show of just riding in a taxi cab, of of people getting um, what do you call them? The tolls for like parking meters. Like, we have a whole reality show about people, you know, getting fines at parking meters. We have reality shows about people cooking food. Real we have reality shows about almost everything. Being in prison. Um, yeah, America is kind of comical. Thaddeus says, "What's the only vegetable not allowed on boats? Leeks. Leeks are vegetables? Yeah, yeah, they are. You would think someone who used to be a vegan would know that, but sometimes I just ate my veggies and I didn't know what they were." J.A.C says, "Crazy that RFK just got Secret Service protection. He's been asking for it." Yeah, that's another thing. I forgot to bring that up. So they were telling him he didn't qualify for Secret Service. A man whose father literally was assassinated when he ran for president. How the fuck do you not say he doesn't qualify for Secret Service when his father literally was assassinated while running for office in 1968? And on top of having one of the most well known last names in the country, Kennedy, how does he not qualify for Secret Service just because he's um, an independent candidate? He still qualifies. And now, if they see this assassination attempt on Trump, then they're like, okay, now we'll give it to you. He should have been had it from name recognition. If not through just sheer name recognition that he would have had a Secret Service, he should have had it for the fact that his very father was assassinated when he ran for office in 1968. That there is a target on his back because of his beliefs, and there are a lot of nuts who would like to assassinate him just because his last name is Kennedy, because there are people who want to basically live out their whole JFK assassination sort of thing. Just like after there's a mass shooting, you get copycat killers. There are people who will want to do a copycat killing of another Kennedy. He definitely should have had Secret Service long time ago. I mean, he's had private. He he's been using private armed security, but he should have qualified for Secret Service at, through his endeavors as being a Kennedy and his father running for office and being shot. his uncle being shot during re-election in 1963. Crazy, right? And also, a lot of people are saying, oh, well, making fun of the fact that Trump, people are saying that Trump was showing strength and stuff like that after the assassination attempt. He was showing, look, he was showing strength after the assassination attempt. We gotta remember, first of all, this is a 79-year-old man. He's an elderly man. Two, a lot of people's true, a lot of people's like during times of crises, you'll see people's like true selves come out, right? You didn't see him cowering. That man pumped his fist, which he shouldn't have done because it made him a target. Because in case there was a second shooter out there, he would have been left as an open target for that person when he went to raise his fist and had his face exposed. I didn't like that because that left him exposed to a further attack. However, it did show strength, and it shows that people calling him cowardly and all this sort of stuff for the last 8 years during crisis, he showed strength. The, you can say it was fake if you want, but hey, that was unscripted. I'm sorry. How many people, after just seeing a bullet graze their head or their ear rather, whatever, would you see like still looking defiant in the face of that situation? A lot of people are like, oh shit, get me out of here. And damn sure wouldn't have been that female Secret Service. She wouldn't have protected him. So good thing there wasn't a second shooter. Thaddeus says, "What if Biden drops out? This isn't live." So, as of yesterday, he has allegedly there has been talks within the White House of him potentially dropping out and handing the torch to Kamala Harris, because there's been talks about, hey, if she run, can she win? Spoiler alert, no, she can't. But Biden has been looking into that option of possibly like dropping out and giving the torch to her. He should have done it in the beginning instead of saying he was running for a re-election. He should have stuck to his word, which he didn't for almost any of his campaign promises, by the way. But somehow the DNC kept saying he's passed the most legislation of any president in history. Yeah, okay, I'll believe that when I see the stats on that. But because everything I saw that he tried to get through didn't work. The Build Back Better program, the student loan stuff. He completely reneged on bailing out the HBCU students. Um, he never passed any sort of anti-black racism bill, but was quick to do so for the Asians, even though they've just got their asses kicked for like just what, a mere 2 years because of the whole pandemic thing. But whatever. Um, he should have stuck to his word and became a one-term president, and we would have had this fiasco. They could have ran a stronger candidate against Trump, and now they, through their own hubris, they're gonna lose. And on top, the most sinister thing is the insiders have known about his dementia for a while now, and they said it was actually worse than what we've been seeing in the press and in public. So they were willing to let a person suffering severe mental decline have access to the most powerful office in the world just to be Team Blue. But yet they see Trump as the threat to democracy, where they're willing to fuck over democracy just for the sake of one man who represents their team. This is why I'm politically apathetic to both sides. Uh, Zed says Thaddeus, it is live. He just answers everyone's questions. You have to wait your turn. Yeah, I'm like, how? Thaddeus has been in this live before, Zed, so I don't know why he says that. Everyone who's been in here knows I'm 5 minute behind in the comments because I try to get to everyone's questions. And yes, there can be a different way to handle it, but this is a vertical live stream, which is more informal than your regular live streams. Ergo, if I want to give people individual attention to their comments, this is going to show within a time gap. If it, how would I not be answering it live? Like I wouldn't even get to the comments if it weren't live. That doesn't make sense. That he doesn't understand that. Maybe he should. Never mind. Anyway, Cam says you think you know boxing. What do you mean? I know of. I know some boxing, but I don't think anyone knows all of boxing. And then are we talking about just strictly Western boxing or other forms of boxing? What are we talking about? Uh, Cam says you see Hulk Hogan at the RNC. What a clown. Okay, well if you don't like him, that's on you. Again, I grew up in the '80s as a kid the Hulk, where the Hulk Hogan was a hero to a lot of boys growing up, girls too. So I don't care what people think about him now, especially when you didn't grow up with him as a childhood hero. Cam says RNC was so cringe. All political national conventions are cringe because it's just political theater. The DNC is not going to be any worse. You're going to see a whole bunch of black R&B singers there. Just like we had Kid Rock at the RNC, you're going to see someone like fucking Beyonce or some shit over there. Shit, it'll probably be fucking Sexy Red. But no, actually no. Sexy Red actually says she's supporting Trump, so no, I'm wrong on that. But they'll have some little stupid R&B singer like um I don't know. It's too many to pick from. Gregory Bentley says Biden is the Grand Wizard. uh, no, he's not. But like I said, he definitely supported a KKK leader, Robert Byrd, back in the day. Eulogized him, and then worked with another supremacist leader, Strom Thurmond, to end bus to end school busing of black students. But somehow he's not called a racist. I don't get that. And have you heard his inane comments about his time as a kid with Corn Pop? Corn Pop was a black guy, by the way. Of course, with Biden, we don't even know how much of that story was even real. So, Gregory Bentley says GTA 4 was pretty awesome. Yeah, I mean, I stopped. Wait, I'm not Liberty City, Vice City. Vice City, I think, was based loosely off of Liberty City, Miami. It's called Vice City. Sorry, but yeah, I like GTA Vice City. It was really cool. San Andreas was okay as well. Again, I didn't have the games. I just played them over other people's houses. I remember the first GTA, which was a computer game, so it wasn't on any game console. The very first one, you can only play it on a as a computer game. Selena Girl 69 says Biden can't shit without help. I don't know. Maybe he has like official cleaners, like when coming to America, they would tell him, the royal ass is clean, Your Highness. No, I'm joking, but Judge Dredd says, when is the revolution going to start? Hopefully never. I'm not an advocate of political violence. As I've stated in my, if people, people want to check every once in a while, I do post stuff in my community tabs. in my community tabs, my last post was on the assassination attempt, and I said political violence doesn't preserve democracy, it destroys it, and that's the case. Revolution is not going to be an asset to us, it'll just make things worse and can lead to a potential civil war of some sort. I don't think it'll get that bad, but I think that political violence will further destabilize our government, which will also mess up our financial situation. So things that's going to hurt my pockets, I am not for. Also, I am a believer in democracy of some sort. So I don't want that being destroyed through petty grievances. Landon says hi. What's up, Landon? YZ786 says at the end of the evening, they all have dinner together at the same table. I don't know whom you're referring to, but if you're talking about Trump and Biden, they definitely are not. Zed says I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah, no. Now, if you're talking about generally like Republicans and Democrats tend to get together, absolutely. But if you're talking about two political rivals in this heated election, nah, they're not. Now, have they had communication with each other? Oh, I'm sure they've had communication, but that doesn't mean they're sitting down at the same table. Like I said, now there are political rivals in Congress who actually work together all the time, but for the sake of the cameras and for their constituency, they have to play up their their differences. Arnold Schwarzenegger admitted that when he did his recent Netflix documentary. He said when he was governor of California, oftentimes when there was like a heated debate over some policy, that behind the cameras that he and those other politicians had already worked out a deal, had worked things out, but for the sake of the cameras, they had to play up their differences, and so that their relative constituencies thought they were fighting for their whatever they believe in at the time. So, but he said, yeah, behind closed doors, a lot of these people you think are at each other's necks definitely are usually working together to get policy through. But once the cameras come on, they have to play it like they're at each other's throats. Sorry, guys, a little tired. About to end this pretty soon. Says his pumping his fist was risky, but he got an iconic picture out of it. Yeah, that's what same thing I was saying. Is that he said the picture will probably last for a long time. Man, that's already gonna be on T-shirts. Someone, I'm pretty sure someone in Pennsylvania has it on their wall right now. But yeah, that's definitely gonna be a T-shirt. Well, I'm sure it's already a T-shirt. Yeah, like I said, he was that was pretty whore for as far as I'm concerned that he pumped his fist right after the assassination attempt. However, as far as as his security was concerned, that was a graven error on the part of the Secret Service to let him have exposed himself that way right after that shot had taken off. Because at that point, at that point in time, even though they took down the first shooter, there could have been a second shooter. They hadn't already made that determination, so it was very very risky for him to be so exposed, pumping his fist with all his face exposed and all that stuff after the shot. And again, like I said, that female Secret Service didn't help. They need to stop with the DEI hiring. A friend of mine actually had this. I think he's watching, by the way. What's up, Marcus? But he and I actually had that chat a few days ago online. He was like, "Man, what do you think of like female law enforcement and stuff like that?" And I was like, "Hey, I don't have a problem with them, but I'm gonna be completely honest. I don't want a female first responder when I'm in an emergency situation because they can't help. Um, if I'm if I'm shut up in my room during a blazing fire and it's the only thing preventing me from safety is a firefighter who can break through that damn door and get me out of there. I'm sorry, some 130-pound woman isn't going to break through that damn door. I'm going to burn up and she's just going to break her damn arm trying to get me out of there. They and same thing like if so the police come and I need a police like what is the female cop gonna do? She can't outmuscle these men. She can shoot them given she's justified in doing so, but still, if it comes to just sheer brutality, she's gonna be at a disadvantage. So if it comes to any sort of first responder, I want a guy, a like big dude, no diddy, that can respond during a crisis situation. They can be female law enforcement, but they should be kind of stricken to administrative duties. Renee Bort says, "Where are you? I am in Maryland." Say 15% or more says, "Please don't skip my question, sir. What do you think about Trump being an Epstein associate for 15 years, knowing Epstein was into younger women and was pictured with Epstein at parties with underage women?" So, what about Clinton? Bill Gates? There was a lot of people pictured with Epstein, and he purposely made sure that he got pictures with high profile men so he could use that as leverage later. I mean, he had pictures with Noam Chomsky and Steven Pinker too. Does that mean they were also pedos? I don't think so. I I don't care. If anything, Trump made a joke about it. He was like, "Yeah, he sure likes those young. He sure likes those young women." He said young women or girls or something like that. Trump even made a joke about it. So simply because he was there didn't mean he didn't partake. It's like if I get invited to a party and everyone's doing coke, that didn't mean I did coke. I was simply there. I didn't know that was unless I was told specifically, "Hey, we about to go to a coke party. Are you down?" And I say, "Yeah." Then yes, by implication, that means that I probably would have partook of it as well or wanted to partake of it if I didn't. But I don't. I'm pretty sure Epstein didn't say, "Hey, come to my young girl party." So even if someone was at one of his parties, that's not that that in itself doesn't justify the claim that that person must also have done the things that Epstein has done. I think that should be just common sense. I'm not running on black people time. Um, I'm just answering all the comments. For you even saying that dumb shit, you're banned from my channel. Not because it offends me, but just because your stupidity offends me. Anyway, Wise Up 786 says I saved 40% of my car insurance by switching to Geico. That's at my other house. I'm sorry. I was about to say I got the Geico Gecko toy. It's at the right set up on the aquarium, but it's not at this house. So I was actually about to grab that. Mrs. Contrarian says save 15% or more. Your messages are coming through. You have to wait for him to go through all the messages before yours. Thank you. Thank you, Mahal. Save 15% more says, I don't mind. The name is funny. I don't mind waiting, but my previous questions were skipped, but just wanted to make sure that they were getting through. BSK is back. BSK, um, since you're here, tell me, did I don't know how much of the earlier thread, I mean the earlier live stream you got to be in before you had to leave, but did that sound reasonable to you? What I was saying about just honestly just doing papers yourself is better than using Chat GPT overall. Like I said, yes, Chat GPT is a good shortcut, but it's not worth the risk of being caught cheating either at school or at work. Since you were one of the few people that was there, I just wanted to see what you thought about that. If depending on how much you actually got to see before you left. Zed says the girl who couldn't holster her gun. I actually face palmed. I would have laughed at a guy too. I'm not sexist in any way, but there are some jobs that men and women are naturally better at. Exactly. Like when 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 did reality become politically inconvenient? Like yes, there are just some jobs that we are built better to do because we are physically different. We're also mentally different. That doesn't mean that women aren't equal to us in intelligence, but they're not equal to us in physical capabilities because we evolved, men evolved to kill. They didn't. Um, but yeah, she looked comical, and people were making memes like when you get a job thinking that all you had to do was look good in a uniform and, and shades. That was that was a pretty funny meme. Relaxation Vibes says, "Welcome to Earth." Well, thank you, Relaxation Vibes. I enjoyed my time on Vulcan for a while. Then I was at Cybertron, and a few other. I was on Tatooine, which is also somehow Arrakis. But I'm enjoying my stay here on Earth. Sean Peabody says Clinton had a picture of himself in a blue dress in Epstein's house. Was that Clinton? I forgot who that was. I thought it. I thought that was someone else, but I can't remember. I don't. It doesn't matter. Like I said, nor neither Clinton nor Trump, I'm gonna say did something just by the very fact, just by virtue of them being at those parties. Because again, unless it was completely advertised as a type of party, then I'm not going to assume they knew that that was what was going down when they came there. It's like if you go to a Diddy party, you expect debauchery. Like you're at Diddy. Like if if Diddy asks you to party with him, you gotta tell Diddy no, no Diddy, I'm not coming to your party. Now, if was Epstein on that level where people knew it was going down? If Epstein invited you to a party, did that meant debauchery with underage people? Like, if so, then yeah, they are complicit, both men. But again, I am not I'm not knowledgeable of the fact that his parties were advertised as such. Shubhajati says hi. Haven't heard from you in a while, Shubhajati. Says sorry, wasn't able to talk for the past 3 weeks. I am in a different city for my masters. Okay, that's what's up. School comes first. Completely understand. I would do the same thing, which is why I skipped a few live streams this week as well because I had stuff to do. Shubhajati says it's been a pretty hectic 3 weeks. Anthony Figueroa says KFC muncher. I don't know if that's gonna. I'm not. I don't know if that's supposed to be racist, Anthony KFC muncher, but freaking KFC is delicious. I don't know what you heard. Should. I don't know why do people try to insult you by saying you eat a certain brand of fast food, like as if this fast food isn't tasty? Shit, I've had McDonald's for the past 2 days. I've been eating the $5 everyday meal. Shit was delicious. Had my McDouble, my McNuggets, fries, and a Sprite or a sweet tea. Shit, shit, it's good. So it doesn't insult me. And if it's supposed to be by implication that black people eat fried chicken, so everyone eats fried chicken. It's freaking delicious. I can't go anywhere in the Philippines without finding fried chicken. Everyone loves fried chicken. And originally, fried chicken came, I believe, from Scotland. One of you folks in the UK can fact check me on that, but I believe the original fried chicken recipe came from Scotland. And Michael Brown says the roof had too much of a slant and it's dangerous. I bet a woman made that decision. Oh man. Anthony is trying to. Oh, so Anthony's definitely trying to be racist. He said, "Let me pull out a whip." Well, let me pull my dick out your mouth, because obviously you can't think without it. But Mrs. Contrarian already banned you. And uh, how's he trying to be racist? This is probably some little 15-year-old brat talking shit. No, and I will beat the living fuck out of him. I will beat up teenagers. I don't care. As far as I'm concerned, a teenager is just a young adult. I will beat the shit out of them. I've told my wife and friends this as well. Like teenage boys to me are pretty much men since they can physically cause death and harm to others. So I will treat them as such if they get out of pocket. If any teenager tries to challenge me in my day to day, I will crush them, including one of these trolls. I'm sure most of these trolls are just retarded teenagers. Oops, I shouldn't be saying that because I'm up for monetization and they're going to be checking all these videos. So no more R word. Well, one of many R words I shouldn't say on here, right? Um, YouTube doesn't like that because they want their content to be advertiser friendly. So when people try to rag on YouTube's algorithm and how strict it is and what you can say and what you can't say, please understand from a business standpoint why they're so strict. As YouTube first started, it was more like it was more like in the 80s and 90s the whole I forgot what they called that sort of TV. Access those all access channels. That's what YouTube started off like. But now it's more corporate, and they court the same advertisers that you see on network television. As a matter of fact, you'll see the same commercials you'll see on network TV for people who still watch network TV, or some of you older folks, I'm sure. If you watch network TV, you'll see the same commercials on there now that you'll see on YouTube because YouTube is courting that same sort of advertising space, but they can't get that sort of advertising if they have very controversial content that they have on their platform. That's why they do so much to make things more advertiser friendly. This is strictly a business thing. It makes sense. And I'm not just stumping for, and I'm not just saying that to you about YouTube just to like blow smoke up their butts because I'm trying to be monetized. I just recognize that from a pure business standpoint, something Kevin Samuels, the late great Kevin Samuels, brought up as well, where he was talking about their business. Like, of course, they're going to look out for their bottom line. It has nothing to do with being against any person's certain viewpoints. But if they have to do things from a business perspective that makes them able to garner more advertising, or because we know the government came down on internet platforms and told them not to have certain views aired about the C-19, right? that was an influence as well. That's why a lot of people were getting deplatformed and demonetized or shadow ban and stuff like that across not YouTube, just across all social media platforms at the time in 2020 and 2021, because it became apparent that there was some people in the federal government telling them, don't allow people on your platform to say X, Y, or Z. So sometimes you have to make you gotta make a business call. Wise Up 786 says, if you notice, one of the Secret Service had that fake arm up covering back of Trump head. Yeah, like that was gonna do anything. And no diss to Secret Service, because one of my friends actually joined Secret Service after we graduated college. Um, I hope he's out there somewhere. What's up, Ed? He's actually a Vietnamese guy, but rest assured, he can he can he can protect some. He can do some damage. Um, Last time I heard from him was like back on MySpace, the MySpace days. He was overseas at the time, so I don't know where he is now, but I'm pretty sure he's still fulfilling his career in the Secret Service. He was about that life. He did Muay Thai like me. Actually, he taught me some Muay Thai before I really got into Muay Thai heavily. Before I went overseas and took a seminar and learned more of it through my JKD training. He helped me a lot with Muay Thai. Taught me how to do a switch kick. Um, and he even tried out for the football team. Uh, you know, not he didn't apply like coming into school, because he actually transferred to Maryland from his original school. He went to UC Irvine in California, and he transferred. He said there was just too many Asians at Irvine, UC Irvine. So he came here, and let that dude. He's a good guy. But yeah, he's Secret Service, so I'm not going to say all Secret Service is inept because they hired a few dumb female Secret Service agents. They just need to keep they just have no role protecting the president, because the pres the Secret Service that protect the president are a very select staff. I don't see how they made it to that select staff, because they physically don't. They There's no way they physically met those requirements. It's nothing other than a DEI sort of thing to me, that you would have small women in that role as Secret Service presidential staff. Uh, I don't see it. Michael Brown says, howdy, friends. Love from Australia. Good day, Michael. BSK says, actually went through clickbait insurance broker vis-a-vis insurance, saving half now. Both have state in the name. Truth. BSK says, Just A Contrarian. Improve your audio, is too damn low. Okay, because I have it sitting on. Sorry, I have it sitting on a platform, so it might have actually been cutting off the speaker. So I'm gonna just hold it in my hand. No diddy. So that might improve the audio, because I think the platform I was holding on, resting the phone on, was covering up the mic. I'm sorry about that, guys. I wish someone else told me about that. Sorry, let me reconnect here. I had to check something. BSK says I'm ignorant vis-a-vis AI writing stuff way behind. So, so the earlier chat, BSK, like I said, I was basically making an argument that you should just do your own work instead of using ChatGPT. So you can use ChatGPT, which has a very wide database, and it can also search the internet for information to glean information on just about anything, and it will regurgitate it for you verbatim. However, it what it is good at finding information, and is good at holding conversations with people, which can mimic like a human conversation. But what it doesn't do is that it's not it's not built to learn how to give more accurate information, just better responses. And that's the case across the board with machine learning. Whereas humans, like, we literally evolved uh, processes for evaluating truth claims, which is the basis to our knowledge acquisition abilities, which makes us better at seeking knowledge than ChatGPT. Yes, it can do it. It can do it faster than us, and it can pull from a wider array of sources than us. But what it can't do is do evaluation of those claims based on their truth value. So a lot of the information that will turn out to be like bullshit. And that's what happened when this professor checked his students' work. He found that half of it was just rewritten information from a 19th century philosopher, and the rest of it was BS because it was just making sure that it strung out a bunch of sentences. And there's other programs like ChatGPT. ChatGPT is just the generic name people use for all those different AI programs out right now that do this sort of process. Because Meta has its own right now. Microsoft has its own. Google has its own. Um, and probably some other places as well. Then ChatGPT started with, I forgot whom, but you got about at least 4 or 5 of these different sorts of programs, and people are using it to cheat to write papers and stuff like that. And when they get caught, it's going to be considered plagiarism because you're using other people's work without citing those sources as such. And it's not worth it, even though a lot of people are doing it right now. But that's not going to be a good excuse if you get caught as well. Everyone else is doing it. That's like someone getting caught with drugs. Well, everyone else was snorting coke, so I did a little bump myself. There's a little. So yeah, that won't work. Like if you get caught using ChatGPT, you're gonna face academic disciplinary action, or if you get caught doing it at work, you're gonna possibly lose out on money or your job. So it's not worth it. That was the whole point of my talk earlier, BSK. And I was saying that basically the mind is better at doing those things that ChatGPT does. We just do it more slowly. But at least the byproduct of it is that we can at least make an attempt at we can make the attempt. I'm not saying it will be successful, but we can at least make a better attempt at at a more truthy a more truthy sort of claims in our in our arguments or papers of some sort than ChatGPT does. And like I said, we shouldn't fear stronger AI because AI still can't do the most basic thing that all humans can do, which is abductive reasoning. So that was everything that I was talking about earlier, BSK, in that previous live stream today, or yesterday rather now. Say 15% says, yeah, Anthony's being racist. Maybe he's trolling, but it's not even a good joke, just low tier racism. Yeah, well, that's the thing, say 15%. People think that low tier racism and low tier homophobia is somehow funny. It's like, no, if, to be a good troll, you actually need to be funny. And most of them aren't because either they're not clever enough to actually use good humor, or they don't understand what that is. So, Neff Sauce Gaming says cap. I don't know what you say I'm capping about, but I don't care. Give me 1 second. No, I can't put it back on that platform because that's gonna mess. It's gonna drown out the mic. Say 15% says late here. Good night, boss. Hope you realize Trump is as much of an elitist as anyone else, just telling Republicans what they want to hear to get elected. All politicians do that, my friend. The sooner you guys realize that every politician is a bit of a narcissist, the better you will be in making politically informed decisions. This is why Friedrich Nietzsche, uh, advocated for a form of constructive nihilism. He basically said, hey, given that there's no purpose to life, which there isn't, um, it calls into question when people think that they can give you the answers to life or make things that are seemingly banal into being meaningful, whether these are political leaders, religious leaders, mark, marketing execs, uh, cult leaders, whatever. Like, given that we know there's no purpose to life outside of taking it on faith, what do these people have to gain by making you believe that they hold the cards to something of significance in in this world? And chances are it's because of self-interest that they're doing it, not because they really care. I think that's something we should invoke the fairness maximum. The fairness maximum here and say that that's probably true of most political candidates. That's nothing sui generis of Trump. So I know you got to go. So um, take care, my friend. Zed says I think I'm off topic. No, there is no topic today, Zed. Today's topic is ask me a question. So there's no. I do this every week. Every week I have a day where I say just ask. You can ask me any questions. So there's no topic off limit during this ask me a question format. As long as it's something that's appropriate. Okay, that's my only stipulation. It has to be something that is appropriate. So Zed says you were briefly talking about something similar. Yeah. Jesus says golden age of cheating right now. I don't get it. Cheating for whom? You talking about political cheating or romantic cheating? I'm kind of confused. But in any case, guys, I'm gonna bring this to a close. It's been 2 hours, and I don't really see too many other questions coming, bubbling up to the surface, unless I'm missing something. But again, I was supposed to hold a special thing for you guys today. I wasn't able to do it just because of reasons. But hopefully tomorrow I'll be able to do it. And the persons in the chat should know what I'm talking about. But I'm gonna go, guys. I was already tired after that chicken salad sandwich I had at the bar. Like I said, I don't drink. For those who don't know, I when I go to bars, I just order food and have fun. And what was a good thing at this bar, they had a doo-wop band. Like they had a doo-wop band with the shiny suits on, and one of the band members apparently was an original member of the Spinners. If you don't know who the Spinners are, you can Google it. It was a an R&B type doo-wop band back in the day, and the song they were hitting these songs, man. It was pretty good. So it just made the time there more enjoyable. And we weren't expecting that because we thought this was going to be actually a ratchet bar. My friend usually takes his concealed carry with us when we go to some of these places, but it was kind of lit. Um, says I don't think my statement went through. It probably didn't because if it triggered the gods of the algorithm, then it won't go through. sometimes you'll have to reconfigure how you're saying something. So to get past the algorithm, if you're saying something that might trigger it, you have to reconfigure that sentence in another way that can get past those that whatever is triggering the algorithm to block it. Michael Brown says, "Remember the old days looking at the encyclopedia." So you know there is an actual encyclopedia that still makes one to this day as of 2022 or 2023. There, I think I think it's the World Book Encyclopedia. Don't quote me on that, but you can look it up on. It's available on Amazon. They still make a physical encyclopedia volume set. It is on my it is on my Amazon wish list. You guys drop me a big enough cash app, I will buy the encyclopedia set. Yeah, yo, but I saw that, I was like, what? They still make physical encyclopedias? I was like, oh hell yes, I will buy this. I miss my old encyclopedias, Michael. Yes, sir. Like I think I read through most of my childhood encyclopedias. I know I read through my psych. I had like three sets of encyclopedias. I had the scientific encyclopedias, and I had the old World Book encyclopedias. And then I had a third mini set of encyclopedias. I read through most of them, which is probably why I have a cornucopia of knowledge today because of all of that sort of just reading reference books for fun. I was talking about Elon and the whole Twitter situation. Yeah, I didn't see that comment, Zed, so I don't know what it was, what you said. YouTube is the king of silencing people. Again, like so, but I commented on it. I was saying the reason for that is because they are making that content advertiser friendly, and so I said it's just a business measure. It's not personal. Like they don't have any, regardless of, so YouTube is owned by Google. Regardless of what the Google CEO's personal views are, like, and the people whom they've hired to run YouTube for them, they're all about the dollar. So if controversial stuff would garner more advertisers, then they will allow more controversial stuff. But obviously, more controversial stuff lessens the chance of courting more advertisers. So that's why they're going to be strict on it. So that's merely, something just a business standpoint for them. Like I said, if I had my own platform and I was looking to court money from like big name advertisers like Chevy and J.P. Morgan and all sorts of stuff, like whatever, but I knew that a lot of my content would scare some of these people away, then yes, I would start restricting it as well. Like YouTube today is not the YouTube that it was 11 years ago. So I I'm not saying I agree with all the decisions, but I understand. So that's all I can say about it. Um, but otherwise, guys, if there's no other questions, I'm gonna go soon. Mahal, are you still here? See if she's still here. And also, guys, if you want, after I get off this live stream, please check out my early one I did during the daytime. I didn't really have too many commenters because most of them were either trolls or they just weren't, or they were foreigners, so they didn't understand what I was talking about with ChatGPT. But in any case, I made my case. I, I hope I made my case that I think it's better to just make an imperfect paper by relying um, on your own thinking and knowledge than to just regurgitate something that you let Chat GPT churn out for you. Especially like I said, because there are increasingly better ways of doing Chat GPT detection. but I don't see anybody. Hello, everybody. Yeah. So, hello, Dr. Nick. So, but yeah, so I'm gonna go, guys. It's late, late, late. Y'all see the plaque? So, Zed says, "See you, man. I'll catch you on the next one." Zed, don't forget to hit the run in the morning. I don't know what time zone you're in, but whatever the case is, when you know, whatever morning is for you, go do your jog, okay? Start doing your jog every day. Um, Otherwise, guys, I'm gonna go. I'll give it a few seconds in case someone was typing a comment. Then I'm out of here. Lickety split. And we'll have a focused topic for tomorrow. Actually, we should have a surprise for you tomorrow. Because again, I put in my monetization papers. Well, not papers, but I put in for review for monetization. So we'll see how long it takes. It can actually take up to a month before they finish their review. So we'll see. But the first two steps are done. Now it's up to the gods of YouTube and Google to decide my fates. Zed says I'm in California, but yeah, I'm planning on hitting it around 3 or 4. What time are you going live tomorrow? Um, Probably about somewhere between, excuse me, 9 or 11 tomorrow, Eastern Standard Time, 9 or 11. If I'm tired again like this, I might have to drink some coffee though. But yeah, go ahead. Yeah, do that jog tomorrow, buddy. Um, and I'll catch all you guys tomorrow. Thanks everyone for contributing. All right. Appreciate you guys, man. Seriously. All right. Take care.